We welcome you to our second session on our leadership coaching webinar series. And today's topic is designing your non negotiable as a leader. But before I start off, I would like to dedicate this particular session to one of our beloved BCBA members whom we just lost day before yesterday, Mr. Rahul Bhojani. He was an integral part of the BCBA family. He was not only just our managing committee member, but Rahul and I have worked shoulder to shoulder in the skills and training development committee. So this one is for Rahul. He will always be missed, and there's always going to be a void when it comes to our skills and training development. And he was one of the finest human beings that I have met personally. So this one is for Rahul. Thank you. Now, today's topic is on designing your non negotiables as a leader. As a leader, we have to take a lot of decisions. And considering that because we are a leader, a lot of times those decisions may not be easy for us. I always believe that being a leader is one of the toughest things. It doesn't matter whether you are a professional leader or it's your own company, because rarely is a leader understood. And at least as far as our staff and all are concerned, leadership is also something that they are not very happy about. So it was very important when we were discussing, Sailesh and us at BCBA, what our next topic is going to be. We thought that it is time that we focus on what we should say no to and where we should draw a line, because we are always eager to please everybody, whether it's our stakeholders, whether it's our clients, whether it's our staff, however it is. So today's session is dedicated to what it means to be a leader and what is your hard stop going to be and where should you negotiate. Having said that, may I please request our president, Shri Sanjeev sir, to give his opening remarks. Sanjeev sir, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chaitali. And thanks for dedicating the session to Rahul. He really was an integral part of the training committee. So when you think of non-negotiables, what comes to your mind? For me, a gulab jamun after a hearty lunch is a non-negotiable. And that leads to one more non-negotiable, my afternoon nap. So for Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the nation and its purpose, it always came before self. He was never driven by personal recognition or position. Every choice he made was rooted in a larger mission, and that was building the nation and uplifting society. That selflessness gave his leadership a rare authenticity and earned him deep moral authority in the hearts of people. That is the power of leadership non-negotiables. Non-negotiables are nothing but principles that guide what we do. For Ratan Tata, values were never compromised for short-term gains. If a decision threatened ethics, trust, or the institution's reputation, it was simply not pursued. This principled approach protected the Tata brand across generations and earned deep trust from employees, partners, and society. This approach demonstrated that integrity was non-negotiable and always placed above profit. Today's topic, designing your non-negotiables as a leader, is about such invisible decisions that quietly define your leadership every single day. In high-pressure industries like custom brokerage, where deadlines are high, stakes are tight, and regulations are unforgiving, leaders often believe that control comes from authority. But Dale Carnegie reminds us that true influence comes from clarity, consistency, and respect. Once a client asked us that if we could handle a product clearance that required a mandatory compliance to be followed, our logical response to the client was to decline from handling such transactions as compliance is non-negotiable. So today's session is practical and reflective. You will hear insights from our seasoned speaker, Mr. Shailesh Kantak, who has navigated complexity and built credibility over decades. On behalf of BCBA, thank you for investing in leadership, and that goes beyond results and into values. Thank you. Chaitali, over to you.
Thank you, Sanjeev sir. That was an really inspiring opening session and opening comments. Now, may I please request our immediate past president, Shri Dushyant Mulani ji, to say a few words. Dushyant bhai?
Yeah, I think Chaitali, we should start soon. Warm welcome to everybody. Great going. Team BCBA enters Sanjeev bhai, Vinayak bhai, Hiren bhai, and Neerav. Chaitali, you are doing amazing work. Uh, Leadership is all about empathy, trust, and transparency, and leading the way from the front. Nothing more to add. Awaiting to listen to our honorable speaker for the day, Mr. Sailesh Bhai. Thank you.
Thank you, Dushyant bhai.
Thank
To
you,
the point
BCB.
always. Thank you. We appreciate you being always there for us. May I please request our Vice President Hiren bhai to say a few words. Hiren bhai?
Thanks, Chaitali. Uh, it's a pleasure listening to such topics. Leadership, yes. Second webinar under the leadership of our president, Sanjeev Varale. Thanks to Chaitali, big thanks to her. Looking at the current scenario, the current geopolitical system, definitely the world needs the big leaders, good leaders, who can lead their, the nation, their companies, take a risks, and show the right way to the organization, which will help us. So now over to you, Shailesh bhai. Let us start this and educate all our members. Thank you.
Thank you, Hiren bhai. Thank you. It is BCP's victory when we do these kind of sessions, and it's a privilege and honor to be able to be part of BCBA. Before we hand over the mic to our speaker for today, Vinayak Bhau, our Vice President, please, if we can have two lines from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chaitali. Today's webinar is very important initiative by BCBA and especially for business owner and custom broker members like us who constantly balancing growth with daily operational challenges. So I would strongly encourage everyone to make the most of this opportunity, active participate and take it back at least one or two key learning that can be practically implemented in your organization and leadership journey. So over to you, Chaitali. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for giving me the chance.
Thank you, Vinayak Bhau. Lovely message. And the final, our dynamic honorary treasurer, Shri Ketan Desai, he does the most impossible. So I remember from one of my favorite South Indian restaurants, the impossible, we will do it immediately. So Ketan Bhai, he does the most impossible things for us in the logistics industry. Ketan Bhai, over to you before we hand over to Sailesh.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I like to say all the people who are listening to Mr. Sailesh, the leader has to take a lot of responsibility and time has to be taken. So this is the very
Ketan Bhai, your voice is cracking. We'll come back. Your voice was cracking, Ketan Bhai. Ketan Bhai, not clear. Can we come back to you?
okay. I can
Thank
now
you.
audible.
Sorry. Sailesh, finally over to you. The long wait is over. Thank you for doing the leadership coaching series with us. Your first session was absolutely record breaking. This is something that we all need to learn. So the floor is yours. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chaitali. Thank you, Sanjeev ji. Thank you, all the members of the BCBA committee. It's a real pleasure. And it's a real pleasure to connect after a short break. I know we've had a bit of a break between the two sessions. And I'm sure that from the first session that we did, there were some valuable learnings for all of you. And like most of you mentioned, today's topic is an extremely critical aspect of leadership. Now, as a leader, we have to, one of the most difficult parts of or the aspect of leadership is often decision making, right? And as a leader, whether you are a business owner or even a professional leader, one of the things that is expected out of a business leader is to take sound decisions, and those decisions we need to take all the time. And a lot of times we come to crossroads, and so the easier ones are obviously not so much of a issue. But typically, when we come to difficult crossroads where a simple, obvious decision is not something that we can take, we are often confused in terms of what is right and what probably is not right. And that is the time when certain values come to the fore in terms of our behaviors. And that is what non-negotiables are all about. Now, when we are running a business, when we are building a business, or whether we are managing a team, one of the other important aspect is about the team that we manage. Chaitali, you raised your hand. Anything to add?
Yes, I was told that your voice is a little low. Is it possible to increase your volume?
Just a second. Is this better?
Yes, much better.
Okay, I'll try to be a bit louder.
Thank
Okay.
you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So one of the things that as a business owner or even as a leader, we need to really work on is how does our team who work with us really look up to us? Because we are, as leaders, always going to be the role models for the team that works with us. And therefore, one of the important aspects that comes up in an organization is about the culture that we are building within the organization. So I'm going to start this particular session with a little bit of exchange, and I would really love to understand from the participants, either in the chat box, or you can maybe unmute and tell me, what do you understand as the culture of an organization? How would you define organizational culture? And I'm happy to listen to some comments before I can move forward. Anybody would like to chip in with what do you understand as about organization culture?
Would anybody like to answer? Sailesh, would anybody? We have a lot of participants here. Dipti, it's so nice to see you after ages. Thank you for joining. Would anybody like to? Come on, you guys can.
Let's make it participative. See, because I would really love this discussion, because this is not a very straightforward topic. This is a topic that requires a little bit of participation, just so that we put things into the right perspective.
Ami, are you there? Can you answer? Dipti, would you like to go? Mr. Sachin Nayak, thank you. You have a whole team here. Feels very, very nice to see so many of you here. Would any of the ladies or gentlemen with you like to answer this question? The reason why we've kept it on Zoom is because this is going to be an interactive session. Bradley, would you like to answer?
Yeah, Mr. Shailesh.
Hanji, Arvind ji.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, your answer to your question is a delegation of authority and delegation of powers and authority and responsibilities.
Okay, so delegation of power, authority, and responsibilities. Anybody else? Thank you so much, Arvindji. Very valuable. Just let's pick up some more thoughts and ideas about what you understand as organizational culture. Look at your own organization, and when you define the organization, when you say my organization's culture is dash dash dash, what comes to your mind? So Aniruddha Daga says culture is equal to how things are being done in an organization. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Aniruddha. Karthik
So,
says culture
Sailesh
can be
sir,
defined.
I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
like to
please.
add that culture could be how you communicate with your team. What are the hierarchy that you follow? And then, as somebody said, how the delegation of work takes place. So it is a channel, the flow of communication between in any
Communication.
organization.
Okay, thank you, Amish. Thank you so much. Anirudh, I read out, Karthik says culture can be defined as how employees work together and interact with each other. Mihir says what discipline, passion, and leniency the management acts or doesn't act on. All very, very valuable, very, very important contributions or thoughts. And then there is no one set definition, but I'm going to share with you the definition that I read, and it like hit me so hard that I believe that this is, I don't think, and it's a very short, sharp definition, which I thought I really correlated it. And what it said is this: culture is how you, which is you as a leader or a founder, so culture is how you and your team conduct and behave even when no one is watching. How you and your team conduct and behave yourselves even when no one is watching. The important part, or three important aspects here, or let me put it as four. First one being you included, so you and your team. Second one is conduct. Third one is behavior. But the most important one is even when no one is watching. And that is what is defined, that is what I see as the best definition for culture. And the reason I like this definition is because it really outlines all that we just talked about. Whether it is communication, whether it is delegation, whether it is assigning of authority, responsibility, all of it can kind of get captured under this particular definition. And when we put that last piece of this definition, which is even when no one is watching, it really brings us to one most important element, which becomes the foundation of the culture of any organization, not even organization. That becomes the culture of the way we live, whether it is at home, whether it is at work. It is about values. What are those values that really matter? And how are we behaving in line or concurrent with those particular values that we have defined for ourselves or our organizations, right? So that is what
We just drop my
typically,
just
I think there's
right.
someone unmuted.
Ma'am, can we have request everybody to please go on mute? Indu, can you make sure that if anybody is unmuted, that you will immediately mute it? Thank you.
Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
Silas, please continue.
Thank you. Sorry, it becomes a little bit of a distraction. Okay.
Apologies. We will take
No,
care
no,
of
no
it.
worries, no worries.
Need to
I
be
just,
more
it
proactive.
happens. It
Yeah.
keeps happening when we are unaware. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that is basically, so the values therefore become the foundation of the culture in our organization. And so today's session is about the behaviors that come through from those values that we define. Now, I'm sure some of you in your organizations would have created your vision, mission, and values. Some of you might have probably not done the activity in a very structured manner, but you really know, and probably you also communicated to your teams. But having said that, one of the things that I very strongly believe is every organization should have a very clearly defined and documented vision, mission, and values. And subsequently, in some of the subsequent sessions, I would love to discuss that as well. So what we are going to do today is really look at what are those non-negotiable behaviors that we need to have, which define how we conduct ourselves in our organizations. And I'm going to request, and hopefully I can see most of you are on a laptop. because we are also going towards the end of the session. So about 45 to 50 minutes, I'm going to kind of take you through a small presentation. And then I'm going to help you draft your non-negotiables, which are specific to you and your organization. And therefore, if you are on a laptop, it's going to be pretty much easy because I'm going to give you an AI-powered tool, which I have built, which can help you draft and design your specific 7 non-negotiables for you or your business. Right? So that's the format that we are going to do. And allow me to share my screen with you. So let me start with setting the context here first, right? So what we're going to do is really understand what are the non-negotiables, or what does non-negotiables firstly mean. Now, what does in the first place, let us understand that when you are defining the non-negotiables, you are clearly drawing a line. You are clearly marking the boundaries for behaviors. Because if you don't have those boundaries clearly defined, there is an impact. And I'll share with you some of the very profound impact of not having those clearly defined boundaries. And then finally, we will use a very simple but powerful AI tool for us to really come up at the end of the session. Each one of you should ideally have those 7 non-negotiables defined for you and your organization. Just a simple ground rule that I would like to have, because this is going to be a self-reflection session. I would really request each one of you to be very open and honest when you do this particular reflection. If you want to share at the end of the session, I would invite you and I would love you to share your thoughts and your what probably came up as your non-negotiables. But when we do that, let's also understand that there is not going to be any judgment. So let's be, whether it is the judgment of self or others, we are going to respect each other and we are going to participate in this exercise. Because this is for your benefit, and I'm sure, because again, I run a community of MSME business owners. I've done these sessions multiple times with them, and I've seen that when you define this, there is huge amount of clarity that you get. And when you then communicate it with your team, when you take it to your team and align your team with those non-negotiables, you see a significant shift happening in the way your organization operates on a day-to-day basis. This is not about posters, or this is not about some fancy communication program. This is about day-to-day behavior. And when we influence the day-to-day behavior for our own selves and for our people, we see a significant shift happening in the overall performance of the organization as well. And so that's where request you to be really participating wholeheartedly into this particular activity. But before we do this activity, just so that all of us have complete clarity, I'm going to take you through a couple of points. So I talked about non-negotiables being that boundary that we draw, or a line that we draw, which clearly defines what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Right? That is what is non-negotiables all about. Because if we are unable to draw that line where we say this is acceptable and this is non-acceptable in terms of behavior, the cost is going to be significant. Indu, can you mute? I think there's someone who's unmuted. I think Chaitali is unmuted on her laptop. Okay, so a quick reflection, and you can type into the chat box. I'll keep my chat box open so I can read it. But I would want you to really reflect and type into the chat box, where do you feel in your own business are lines crossed by either yourself, by your team, or even for that matter, by your clients? Because when you draw boundaries, you're just not drawing boundaries for yourself, you're drawing those boundaries for your team, And you are drawing your boundaries for your partners, and you're drawing the boundaries for your clients as well. So if you want to type in, just type in into the chat box, where do you see, sometimes do you see those boundaries being crossed in your company? And which of those behaviors do you think drains your energy? And trust me when I say this, we might not realize it, we might probably not be very conscious about it, but when boundaries are not defined, we get dragged into and pulled into doing things which really sucks a lot of our own energy. And then you say, oh God, this shouldn't have happened here. I'm sure all of us feel that, right? Either so let's say you in a fit of anger did something and you probably screamed at someone or you shouted at someone. And then you thought, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Or you see some employee or team member behaving in a particular way and you say, oh, this should not happen here. So please do type in, yeah, anger management or use of foul language, says Anirudh. Yeah, that obviously that's something that really comes up, isn't it? A lot of times we are not in control of our emotions, and then we realize that, oh, this should not have happened. This is something that either we or our team members. Now, I'll share with you some of the very common pain points that happen when boundaries are not drawn. First is indisciplined behavior. When your team does not know what is expected and what is accepted and what is not accepted, you will often see indisciplined behavior in your organization. It could be very small, like people coming in late, people disturbing each other, people taking long breaks, people not dressed properly. All of this, there are certain things which are said, there are certain things which are unsaid. But when they are unclear is when indiscipline happens. And then we have the repeated disrespect or rude tone, what Anirudh just mentioned, where people get angry and then use foul language. Sadanand ji says sometimes boundaries related expenses incurred in clearance procedure exceeds. Okay. So all of these. So whether it is indisciplined behavior, whether it is disrespect, whether it is even commitment to your client which you don't honor. Now, that is something which, if it is defined as a non-negotiable, will not happen very often. But if it is an accepted thing that, okay, chalta hai, late hua, delivery mein kuch problem hua, it is okay, then the team is not aligned to what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And when all of this happens, who is dragged in? It's the founder. Because then you are trying to douse out fire. We talked about the role of a leader. Now, the role of a leader is more about strategy, thinking, and growth, and less about day-to-day operations and firefighting. Yes, that is required, and especially in certain businesses, the founders are required to be involved into day-to-day operations. But when they get dragged into the drama, because of the lack of clearly defined non-negotiables, it really takes a lot of time and, more importantly, drains the founder or the business owner of energy. So what therefore is, let's understand what are non-negotiables. And this is very important to understand, because otherwise we draw out a long list. This is not a long list. This is very clear, very crisp, very sharp. You have to, non-negotiables are clear lines that you, as the leader, as the owner, as the entrepreneur, founder, you will not cross. So the first non-negotiable starts with you. We cannot create non-negotiables for the teams and then everything is, for me as a founder or a business owner, I am absolved of that, right? So the first level is at the founder level or the leader level. The second is clear lines you don't want your team to cross. Your team should know this is acceptable, not acceptable. And this has to be behavior based, not some vague ideals, not some fancy gyan kind of sentences. This has to be specific to behaviors that you see on a day-to-day basis, where you write out what is we will and we will not, very clearly defined. Now, what they are not a long rule book. These are not rules. This is not a policy. So let's be very clear that we have various, so there is something which a lot of organizations have, some of you might have created. This is not a code of conduct policy. This is very clearly defined behavior on a day-to-day basis, and it is not a long list, maximum 5 to 7. And this is, again, as I said, not only for the team, this is for you too. And this is not built on ego. This is built on true values that you believe in yourself and that you expect in your organization. Right? So this is what we need to be very clear about when we define our non-negotiables. And let me share certain things. So I just said, it has to be about I will, or we will not, or we won't. I will not lie to clients or my team. I will not answer work calls after 9 p.m. unless it's an emergency. Now, here you are trying to protect your own self and your team from probably work-life balance, flexibility, and obviously protecting your well-being. We do not shout at or insult each other. Now, this could be one of the non-negotiables. Very clearly, I will not, as a leader, and I don't want to see that happening in my organization. We do not miss deadlines without informing and resetting expectations. So if we have committed, so this is more about sticking to your commitments. How important is it for you as the leader, and how important do you make it for your team so that it is not taken for granted कि चलता है, miss हो गया, बाद में देखेंगे, कर लेंगे, पटा लेंगे. All of those things do not come into play. And the last one I have given as an example is, a lot of times there are bound to be mistakes. But if we have a workplace where people are scared, people will hide those mistakes. People will not kind of open up and say, okay, I committed a particular mistake and I own up to it. One of the non-negotiables that you could have is we will not hide mistakes. We will surface them and fix them together. So therefore, it's a joint ownership. Now, these are certain examples. Now, these examples or these non-negotiables that we define are extremely important because they are built on the foundation of the values of your organization. And they are closely knit, and they closely impact, or very rather not even closely, they significantly impact the culture in your organization. Because as I said earlier, culture is about how you and your team behave and conduct yourselves even when no one is watching. Now, when you have a clearly defined list of non-negotiables, you will be able to create a culture in your organization which is designed by you. A lot of times I have had situations, and let me share with you an example. One of the clients that I was working with, he had a small organization of about 30, 40 people. And one day I was just talking to him. It was the early days of our engagement. And I asked him, sir, can you tell me what is the culture in your organization? And he said, oh, we have a very small team. We have a family-like culture, very informal. We are very friendly with each other. We love to work with each other, and so on and so forth. So I asked him, sir, can you tell me what are the values of the organization that determine the culture of your organization? Because values are the foundation on which your culture gets built. And he looked at me very sheepishly and he said, Shaileji, ye values and all of these are for big organizations. This is good for large organizations. For a small organization like mine, all these values and culture is something that I will really look into when I am much bigger, when I probably am a 10 crore or a 20 crore organization, when I have 100 people and above. That is when I will focus on these values and culture. Right now, I am focused on मुझे revenue बढ़ाना है, मुझे profit करना है, मुझे ensure करना है कि my business is doing well and I am looking at scaling. That is my priority. Now, please understand, this is a clear example of putting the cart before the horse. And why do I say that? Is because culture does not come after you have scaled. Scale will come after you have created a culture or designed a culture, because you like it or not, if you have even consciously worked it or not, even if you are a 5-member team or a 500-member team, there is a culture existing in your organization. आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में एक कल्चर है, आपका ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का एक कल्चर है. Now, the question is whether you have designed the culture consciously or that culture has been formed by default. If it has been formed by default, then you are going to witness a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of behavior that is inconsistent all over all the time. There are going to be some functions that are working in different directions. There is going to be blame game. There is going to be toxicity. But when you have a culture by design, then you are the champion who is really designing the culture of the organization and defining, therefore, your now non-negotiables is important at this point of time. At whatever level you are, at whatever point of time, if you have not working on and not defined your core values and not defined the non-negotiables, I would strongly recommend take time to really think about this, because that is going to be very, very critical for the growth and also for the well-being of your organization and your people. And this is why I believe that these non-negotiables matter. Number one, it really protects what you truly value. Now, again, coming to a very simple moot point, each one of us have been brought up with a certain set of values, certain set of ethics, and a certain kind of beliefs. Now, and therefore, as we grow, we truly value certain things. And that is what we carry to our organizations as well. We are not someone who will have different sets of values outside of office and a different set of values in office. That's not possible. Because as an individual, we have a set of values. And if you want to protect those values, then you need to really have your company values linked to your personal values. And those non-negotiables also ensure that the non-negotiables get linked to your company and personal values as well. Because if you don't define them, and then if you don't behave yourself in line with those stated values and the non-negotiables, they will remain only as posters on the wall. And that is why the first important reason that we need to have the non-negotiables very clearly defined is it protects what you truly stand for. The second one is decision making. When we began this session, Sanjeev ji mentioned about decisions and faster decisions, and I also talked about when you come to difficult situations, when you come to crossroads, when you are uncertain, the values and your non-negotiables make it easier for you to take decisions, and therefore you are able to take decisions faster. Because when you ask yourself, If these are the two decisions, or these are the two available options, which is consistent with what I stand for, what is consistent with my values, what is consistent with my non-negotiables, you are on most occasions going to get a clear yes or no. And not just you, even your team, because it is defined very clearly, knows what is allowed and what is not allowed. So decision making becomes easier and faster. The third area that it obviously impacts is the shape of the culture of your organization. Primarily because you are leading it. When you behave consistent with the values and the non-negotiables, that is the biggest communication or the strongest communication to your team that tells them what is accepted and what is not accepted. You might say a lot of things, but trust me when I say this, what you do and how you behave is far stronger in terms of what your team will replicate. And therefore, as a leader, are we behaving and have we defined our non-negotiables for ourselves? And are we therefore conducting ourselves in line with what we have defined? Because at the end of the day, if you are wanting to build a culture by design, it is firstly about how you behave yourself, and second is about what you tolerate. One question that I keep getting asked as a coach to some of the business owners is, I have a very good performer, but uska attitude is a problem. How do I deal with someone who is a performer? I depend on him. वो बहुत धंधा लाता है. He is someone who manages a lot of stuff for me, but he is into a lot of politics. How do I deal with it? My simple answer to this question is attitude over performance. Because when you tolerate poor behavior of maybe even your best employee, the message that you are sending out to the other employees of the team is this is tolerable behavior, this is acceptable behavior, ye chalta hai. And then there will be people who will start doing that as well. And therefore, when you define the non-tolerables and then you act in line with those non-tolerable, even with probably some of your best team members, you are setting an example for a great culture in your organization. This is, I know, easier said than done, but then there are times when we have to tell that's what is required of us as leaders. As leaders, we have to take those tough decisions because the impact of tolerating behavior which is inconsistent with the values, ethics, and the non-negotiables of your business may not be very clearly visible to you, but they do long-term damage. And therefore, it is important for us to really understand that part in terms of what are we tolerating. It protects your energy. When you have your team, when you have created a culture, when you have ensured that you behave consistently in line with those values and the non-negotiables, your people will behave consistently and there will be fewer friction areas, blame games, lesser guilt, and you will not be dragged into trying to fix a lot of such problems related to behaviors. And it really protects your energy. And therefore, it is important and that extremely important. Now, these are the reason I'm emphasizing on these is let me also accept and admit over here that a lot of times these get ignored. These are the things we say, अरे यार ये बाद में देखते हैं, पहले धंधे का देखते हैं, पहले सेल्स देखते हैं या टर्नओवर देखते हैं या बिलिंग देखते हैं या whatever, and we kind of put this into the back burner. When you put these things into the back burner, they are continuously simmering to a stage where they become extremely difficult to manage. And therefore, this becomes an extremely important aspect. And therefore, as I said, it's about reducing the emotional drama in your organization. Who needs drama? But there is going to be drama. There are going to be situations where there are going to be, because we are human beings, there are going to be emotions and feelings involved, even at work. The idea is we need to minimize the drama through the kind of non-negotiables that we clearly list out for us and for our team members. And finally, it's the anchor. Your values and your non-negotiables are an anchor to a lot of things that you do in your organizations, right from hiring. Are you hiring the right people who are kind of aligned with the culture of your organization? How are you doing your performance reviews? How are you doing your increments and appraisals? Are they qualitative or are they quantitative? Are they based on objectivity or are they based on just some negotiations at the end of the year? How do you reward people? How do you promote people? How do you recognize the next level of leaders in your organization? All of these are influenced by how you have been able to define your values, your culture, and therefore the non-negotiables in your business. Now, what I'm going to share is there are 4 levels at which we need to really look at non-negotiables. If there are any questions, please do stop me and ask, or if you want to type into the chat box, please feel free, because I don't want to make this to be a lecture, while though I'm trying to share with you the concept, but any point of time, anybody thinks that, okay, ये समझ में नहीं आया या वो ये क्यों important है, please feel free to interrupt me and ask questions. I'm absolutely fine with that. So far, any questions? No questions, then I can move forward. Okay, so what are the 4 zones of leadership non-negotiables? So how do you go about doing this? Now, we have understood the concept. We know what non-negotiables are, what they are not, how many of them we should have, how we should be really looking at them in terms of being congruent with the culture and the values of the organization. We are now going to really look at getting to the next level and see how or what are those zones in which we need to define our leadership non-negotiables, right? So if we are ready to do that, let's move on. The first and the most important is yourself. What are the non-negotiables for you as a leader? What are those? And while these are not rules, but these are very clearly defined behaviors that you have written down for yourself in terms of the behavior that you are going to be, or the conduct at your workplace. Now, when we do that, it really, what it talks about is, firstly, your health and well-being. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you taking care of your well-being? The second one is integrity and honesty. Is it important to you, and how are you demonstrating your integrity and honesty at work? And the third is about your family and your personal time. Yes, business is important, but when we don't create the non-negotiables to protect our own self, we are really going to be living in a very chaotic kind of an environment. We will not be really, our energy levels will be depleted. We will be overwhelmed. Anxiety might take over and burnout might happen. When you have your non-negotiables very clearly defined, you are protecting yourself. And therefore, you need to have very clearly defined non-negotiables for your own self. The second, okay, so let's look at why this matters, is because if you don't define for yourself, firstly, and then you don't remain consistent with what you have defined as the non-negotiables for yourself, you are in no moral position to tell your people that, listen, I expect this and I expect that, or I don't expect this to be, or this is not acceptable. You lose the moral ground to really define and tell others how they should behave. And the second is, Your people are watching you. I talked about this. Your people are watching you. Whatever you say is secondary. What you do is what your people will copy. People copy leaders' behavior. And when what the leader says is consistent with his own behaviors, it has that much of a stronger impact. Now, therefore, what are some of the examples that would probably come up as the non-negotiables for yourself? I will not lie for business gain. I will not work with people who cross basic respect. I will not take team calls after 9 p.m. unless it's a real emergency. Now, these are statements that determine my own personal behavior. This is for me. And by doing this, I mean, these are just examples. You can, specific to your organization, specific to your domain, you might create these non-negotiables for yourself. But finally, these are those important sentences or statements that determine how I will conduct myself. Now, you might say, oh, to hai, we have talked. The important part is these need to be documented. We need to write them down, because when we write them down, we become more conscious about them. Otherwise, there are so many things that keep, I should do this, I should not be doing this, I should probably have done this, all of that. When you write it down, and as I said, not more than 7, typically 5, then you are very clear and conscious about your behavior. And what you need to ask yourself is, what keeps you sane and grounded? And what are you tired of tolerating in your own life? We all have these situations. We all have those values and ethics that keep us sane and grounded. And we all have situations which we are tired of and we want to kind of get out of those situations. Have we really thought of those? Have we really spent time on documenting and reflecting on those? Once you spend time to reflect on these two important questions, you will be able to come up with very clear non-negotiables for yourself. So that is the first zone. The second zone is your team and your culture. So what is it that you are going to tolerate or allow and not allow with your team? And this typically covers how people treat each other, how they respect other individuals in the organization. It's also about gossip, politics, blame game, friction. How do they deal with these very common situations at work? Or do we do you have a clearly defined way that this is managed, or are you allowing this to drift? Are you sweeping these issues under the carpet? Because if you are sweeping these issues under the carpet, trust me, you will have a lot of garbage coming out someday. So we need to be very, very clear on this, because finally it has an impact on various aspects of your business, whether it is the people who you work with. There are good people who will leave if you don't have a good culture in your organization. One of the very big reasons why people leave an organization is poor leadership or culture. When people feel disrespected, when people don't feel the sense of belongingness, when people don't feel valued, people look out for jobs. Every individual has a strong self-respect, and if that is compromised, your good people will leave. Because there is going to be an impact on trust, there is going to be an impact in the way people function in your organization. And therefore, it is important to therefore define, we do not insult or shout at each other. We do not talk behind someone's back. Instead, we say it or to their face. We do not allow harassment or bullying at our workplace. Again, examples, if specific to your organization, what you see today, what you think you don't want to happen again, you need to define those. And the question that you need to ask when you're setting those in the non-negotiables for your team and for the culture is, which of those behaviors make you feel proud when you see people respecting each other, people recognizing each other, acknowledging each other, that team spirit, and which of those behaviors you don't want to see again. Because team building is about, and you might have the best talent, let me tell you. Even if you have the best talent, you might not have the best team. And the example over here that I want to, and I love to share, and in fact, I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the person who had the cricket trophies behind him. Chetali, can you help me with his name?
Vinayak Bhav.
Vinayak Bhav. So, Vinayak Bhav, my question to you, I'm going to stop sharing because this is something that I think a lot of people will relate to.
Varad.
India's ODI team in 2007 was perhaps the most talented team. We had the best talent. All 11 players were super. But despite having 11 super players in the team, we didn't even qualify for the knockouts. We were knocked out at the league stage. Rahul Dravid was the captain. There was a Sachin Tendulkar. There was a Sehwag, Zahir Khan, Irfan Pathan, all of those. The best ever team. But we didn't qualify. And then within 4 years, we went on to become the champions with probably a team that was much lesser in talent, but far stronger in terms of culture and team spirit. Do you guys agree? Vinayak,
Yes,
do you agree with that?
Yes. I am agree.
So
And that is only possible because of Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
That is possible because of a good leader.
Good leader, and that leader is Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
Yes, in this case, it is Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
He shows the he hit the six when he needs 2 runs for winning. He hits the six, and he shows his leaderships that way also.
Correct. So at the point I'm here therefore making is, teams are not built on talent alone. Yes, talent is important, but teams are built by good leaders. And teams are built by good leaders who clearly know what they are willing to allow and tolerate and what they will not tolerate. You have to take those hard decisions. We have to drop some good players from the team if they are not consistent in the behavior. Right? So that is something that we need to always keep in mind and therefore define. Because when we are analyzing and critically analyzing, we become, all of us Indians have this tendency of becoming the best Indian cricket captain and the best prime minister of the country. We always have an opinion about what the prime minister of the country should be doing and what the Indian cricket team captain should be doing. The point is, do we know as leaders, the role that we play as leaders, are we playing the right kind of game? Are we setting the right kind of frameworks? Are we tolerating the right kind of behaviors? Are we demonstrating the right kind of behaviors? Or are we just letting things drift and allowing a culture to form without us being at the helm of it? Right? So the second zone, therefore, is team and culture. The third is work and performance. How do you really define ownership of tasks? How do you define deadlines and commitments? And how do you allow people to make mistakes but ensure that they are learning from the mistakes? A lot of times I say this, that we as leaders teach our people not to take ownership. And we as leaders teach our people not to take ownership primarily because we micromanage without realizing that we are micromanaging. And when we are micromanaging, the message that we are sending out to our team is that I don't trust you, or I don't think you are capable of doing what is required. So you don't take ownership. I will tell you what to do, you do. And this happens in a very subconscious way. We don't even realize it, that we are responsible and we are the bottlenecks in our own organization because of the way we lead. So therefore, when you create this very clearly defined non-negotiables for the performance and tasks, and therefore you assign ownership, accountability, decision-making rules, you are able to get your team aligned with the vision and the goal of the organization. And that is important, and that is why it matters, because when you build this, you get predictable execution, and most importantly, no externalization of failure. There are no excuses, there are no reasons, there are results. If you want an organization where you are focused and you and your team are focused on results and not on reasons, you need to define the behavior. And these are the kind of examples that we need to talk about. We do not hide mistakes. We do not repeat the same mistake again and again, and we really go and fix those problems. And the thing that we need to ask ourselves when we are looking at this particular zone is, where are you seeing those repeated mistakes, slippages, lack of ownership, lack of accountability? And the other one is, if everyone followed one work habit, what would change? If everybody took initiative, what would change? If everybody took ownership, what would change? Now, these are the kind of things that we need to reflect upon when we create the work and performance non-negotiables. And finally, we need to have non-negotiables for the clients and for the company as well. We need to know, when are we going to say no and when are we going to say yes. Sanjeev ji mentioned also about an example of, there are times when you have to be able to say, no, I am not going to take this particular assignment, this project, or this consignment, or whatever that matters. Do we have that clearly defined? And therefore, when we really clearly define, you know how you show up to your clients. You are able to create a brand and a reputation for your organization and for yourself, and it is based on ethical choices. Unethically धंधा करना है तो वो then you can just toss everything to the wind and say, okay, मेरे को पैसा बनाना है. But I don't think any one of us gets into do business only with an intention of कुछ भी करके मेरे को पैसा बनाना है. There are going to be values, there are going to be those ethics, there is going to be that framework within which we want to operate. The only thing that we need to do is to define that framework. That's the boundaries that we are talking about. Because when we are doing that, then we are building relationships. Then we are building clients who work with us for a prolonged period of time. And then you also ensure that when you do that, you attract good customers to your business. There is always that word that spreads around about you as a founder, you as a own business owner, you as an organization. You might not hear it, but outside, when it comes to your clients, there is a reputation that you will always carry. Are you building a good reputation for yourself by, again, creating those very strong non-negotiables for behavior and conduct? And the examples over here is, we do not over-promise to win the deal. We are being candid, we are being transparent, and we commit and we deliver. We do not blame other teams in front of the client. So वो sales वाला है, अरे हमको तो लोगों, लेकिन वो दूसरा team ने. So all of that doesn't happen. When we are in front of the client, we are one. We might then get back to the office and say, okay, this is the issue that we need to figure out. This is where something fell between the cracks. But in front of a client, we have a defined set of behavior and conduct. And we do not work with clients who disrespect our team. Now, this is extremely important, and I'll tell you an example that happened with me. One of our very important clients once abused a team member. And the simple thing that I had to do was to pick up the phone and say, sir, and I had a very good relationship. He was never disrespectful with me, but he was disrespectful with my team member. And I had to call him up and I had to say that, sir, I respect your business, I respect our relationship, but I will not really be able to work with you primarily because of this incident. And I think we need to break this engagement. Now, it's a difficult thing to do, but imagine the impact that it has on your people. When you put your people first and ensure that they are respected not only by your team and other members in your organization, but also by your clients. So again, just an example. And if you think that's important, then you need to reflect on that as well. So the question that we might want to ask for this particular zone is, what do you never want a client to say about your organization? कि ये this company ना ये इनका काम ढीला होता है, they never commit or they never deliver what they commit, or their quality is poor, or they are always delayed, whatever. What are those things that you don't want people or your clients to say about you? And when have you felt ashamed, or whenever either your team member or the way you've conducted as an organization in the front of the client? There are times when we said, oh, that was not really good. You feel guilty, you feel ashamed. When were those situations? When did that happen? And that will help you really create the right kind of non-negotiables from a clients and company point of view. And therefore, let me clarify here, keep them few, but keep them powerful. 5 to 7, don't exceed 7. Anyway, what we are going to do as an exercise is going to be, I'll give you 7. You might then choose which 5 or 7 you want to do. And ensure that you are focusing on quality over quantity. Ensure that it is applying to you first. This is not about my team or I want my team. I will and I will not, and then we will and we will not. Both are important and they have to be very clearly action based and visible in terms of the behavior. Now, these are the things that we need to keep in mind when we are building our non-negotiables, right? So it's 4:15. We have about 45 minutes left. What I'm going to do is, firstly, I'm going to open up for a little bit of a discussion, and then we will move forward to do this exercise, which is going to take about 25 to 30 minutes. So any questions, any suggestions, any views, what probably I might have missed out. All of us are very senior leaders. All of us have spent numerous numbers of years. We worked with teams. Please do share, because this is for me also an opportunity for learning from your experiences. So if I can request cameras to be switched on so that I can see the audience, and I would also request for you to share.
Shailesh, this was it was spectacular. It was simply mind-blowing.
I'm not Chaitali, point here is we are not done. I just don't
I know, but I'm just saying that even when people want to talk, it's just been such an eye-opener on the stuff that we are doing and we are not doing, especially the stuff that we let go of and the things that we do. Really nice. Uh, can I please request that everybody raise their hands, whoever needs to talk or comment? And no, this is not the end of the session. We still have
Yeah.
the exercise to do. So if anybody would like to say anything, please raise your hand, and I promise you we will give you your chance. So and can people have their cameras on? I think it's out of respect to our speaker. Thank you. Out of those who already have your cameras on, would any of you gentlemen or Dipti like to say anything, comment?
Okay,
These are the kind of
let me
sessions.
ask a question, Chaitali, if you don't mind. Did what I say make sense? Do you think it is important है या ये सब यार छोड़ दो धंधा करना है? Or do you think this is something that is powerful and something that is important that you want to build in your organization? I would love for you to share that at least. Anybody? Okay, if you don't want to speak up on the camera, let me at least kindly share into the chat box some of your thoughts.
Mr. Vrutan Shah, please go ahead. Thank you for raising your hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chaitali. Okay, so Shailesh ji, I just wanted to ask one thing. Basically, I mean, this topic that you have taken up, it's actually bang on. But I just I mean, the examples that you shared were also definitely bang on. All right. But only one thing I would like to know, I mean, how to, withhold ourselves. We, many a times we prepare this list that I will not do this, I will not do that. But it is like in the back of the mind, we always have that, okay, I will not do this till this extent. Supposedly, if I am losing a
Fair
client
enough.
like Tata or Birla or something, obviously the rules that we prepare don't apply there. So how to bind ourselves to that and all?
Very, very, very good question, Vrutant. And see, let me put it this way. And I'm going to take an example about somebody from a very large organization, let's say a Tata or Birla, called up and abused or insulted my team member. What do I do? Would that be a good perspective?
Of course.
Okay. Now, like you rightly said, अरे यार ये तो बहुत बड़ा client है. This is something which is I can't lose out on. Now, we need to also understand that when you are dealing with very large organizations, you are dealing with professionals. You are not dealing with the owner, or you are not dealing with the very senior people in the organization most of the times. And if you are dealing with very senior people in such organizations, they are not going to be disrespectful. I don't think 95% of the time that is not going to happen. Typical disrespect, therefore, will happen with someone at the middle or junior level who's really maybe a arrogant person or a rude person. In this situation, you needed to take it up. Basically, see, the point is, are you taking it up for your team? Are you standing up for your team? Are you saying that even if it's a Tata or Birla, maybe I obviously don't want to lose that client, but I'm going to take it up, or am I going to tell my employee, "Chalta hai yaar, hota hai, you don't get feel bad." See, what is going to happen with that employee is, I am getting disrespected, and my
They'll keep
boss
on
is
going
telling
into a
me,
cocoon, I guess.
boss is telling me, you take it with a pinch of salt, swallow your pride, because business is important for me. The other thing we need to do is, one is we need to sit with the employee, tell the employee that I respect you and I understand that this was not right on the part of the person. I'm going to take it up with the organization. I'm going to talk to them. I'm not going to let this go. That also is good enough for you to set the right kind of example in your organization. You don't have to say, अरे नहीं अभी ये तेरे को गाली दिया मैं बंद कर देता हूँ. No, I'm not suggesting that. We obviously need to take it in a very practical way. We need to take it in in the right frame of mind. We don't have to be reactive, but we need to address it for sure. If that answers your question.
Yes, it does. I mean, it was not only on the part of the example that you gave, but not practically Tata Birla or something. But
True.
every person or every business owner usually has 4 to 6 clients who contribute to the major chunk of the business.
Yes.
So
So
it was on that
while
front,
we are, the
basically.
point of the matter is, are we standing up for our team members? You make your non-negotiable to be, I will always stand up for my team members when it comes to disrespect from clients. You are not saying I'm going to. So my example is, I'll not deal with the customer, but you can always put it, reframe it, saying I will always stand up for my team members when it comes to disrespect from clients, which is good enough.
Okay. And this question also, I mean, extends to the compliance part also. I mean, see, the bigger players also, they make some lapses in compliances. Frankly speaking, I mean, I don't think I have anything to hide over here or something is, I mean, I'm talking out of the blue over here. I don't think so. Everyone must be well aware about it. So on that front also, if we have our non-negotiables about compliances, So again, if we deny a big player or who is contributing to the major chunk of my business, if we deny them for one compliance part, I might be losing the whole business that I'm getting from him or her. I mean, not being a genderist over here. So, what should one take away, or what should be the step that one should take out at there?
See,
I
again,
understand
that's, yeah.
the session is still on, or so, and maybe I'm asking this question a little early. I don't know.
No, no, no. Absolutely fine. So, see, the point again is when we build our non-negotiables, we need to, and therefore we need to do the self-reflection. It is not about, there is nothing right or wrong. The first thing that we need to understand that there is nothing right or wrong in this world.
True.
Okay. It all depends on the perspective, the situation. Like, for example, killing a person, another human being, is not necessarily right or wrong. When a soldier on the boundary kills the enemy, is a good thing that he's doing. It's something that is noble.
True.
Whereas when you kill someone else because of revenge, that's a bad. So, but the act of killing another human being is not necessarily right or wrong. So therefore, there is
Yeah,
nothing
that is
right
how
or
they
wrong.
say. I mean, there is one your truth, there is one my truth, and there is one universal truth.
Correct. So, yes, there is legal and illegal. Now, if you are on the right side of law, and that is important to you, and that to be on the right side of law, you need to put it up as that this is my non-negotiable. I am going to be on the right side of law. Now, if the client insists that you move towards or kind of do something which is not necessarily legal, that's a very personal call you need to take. I cannot really tell you कि ये चलता है या नहीं चलता है.
No, no, no. It was not on that part. I mean,
Sure.
it's very well said. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rutan. Okay. Any more thoughts? Any more questions? I have think we stand up for each other. We will not at fault. We believe that every customer will respect as long as we are good at work and deal with them diligently. Yeah. Thank you, Ruben. Vinayak ji, thank you so much. Thank you all for all the comments. Thank you so much. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a link with you. But before I share the link,
it's for the customer.
yeah.
Sorry.
Ruben, you are saying something or okay? Thank
Sorry,
you.
I was out of mute.
No problem. No problem. Okay, just give me a second to share with you my screen. Just going to take half a minute, Chaitali.
Sorry, Sailesh, you mentioned something.
No, I'm saying I said I'm just going to take half a minute because I want to share something.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to share this particular tool where it's going to be about 20 to 25 minutes of self-reflection. There are certain questions that you need to answer, and these are across those 4 zones that I talked about. Be very honest. This is for yourself. You don't need to share if you don't want to share. If you want to share, please feel free to share. And after that, once you do this exercise, you will get a document which you need to, there will be a tab which will say download the document. Please download the document and save it on your system. Now, when you create this document, it does not necessarily mean that's the final draft of your non-negotiables. You might want to then look at it and edit it or tweak it so that it becomes even more personal. Now, here's a thing that I want to share. We are going to draft or craft our non-negotiables ourselves. So we are the author. We are using AI as a tool because this is an AI powered tool. We are using AI as a tool to really help us craft our own thoughts and put them in a particular structure. So this is not about telling AI to tell me what should be my non-negotiables. No. This is me answering a set of questions so that AI can then analyze those questions, see some patterns, and then recommend for us what for what our non-negotiables should be. Having said that, we will, even after that non-negotiables has been provided to us, we are going to download it and then we are going to tweak it if we require. Right? So I'm going to paste this into the chat box. So the link is in the chat box. You need to click on that link and you will be able to, this screen will open. Click on start your reflection. It's 4:27. 4:50 we will wrap up. That's 23 minutes. It should be good enough. 4:50 is when we will wrap up this activity. And then we have 10 minutes to really conclude. And then maybe even if someone wants to share. So I'm going to go on mute. I'm going to shut off my camera. With your kind permission, Chaitali, I'll also play some soft music so that you are in the right frame of mind and while doing this exercise. Any questions? Everybody opened has been able to open the link that I have shared? Just show me a thumbs up if you are able to open the link. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Please get on with doing this activity. I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to go on mute and I'm going to play some very soft. We'll try and wrap up in the next 5 minutes. Okay, I'm sure some of you have completed, some of you are still doing the exercise. Uh, and it's okay, we can continue. So you have the link, you can continue doing it. I know we are a little over time, and that's why I didn't want to overshoot it by much more. But at the same time, if there are any questions, let me address those. For those who have been able to get an output, what does anybody want to share? What came up for you? What showed up for you? Anybody who did the entire exercise and got the list of non-negotiables for yourself. Anybody got it? Anybody finished? Time is too less. I know these questions are very profound sometimes, and the deep reflection is required. Doesn't matter. I know that the time is a little bit of a constraint, and you can continue doing this exercise. So don't worry about, you don't have to finish it. The link is there with you. I'm not going to shut it down. I want you to complete that exercise and get that output. After that, if you do have any queries, feel free to reach out through Indu or through Chaitali or so whoever. If you need any guidance and need any help, happy to be available for support. So please do, Chaitali, I hope that's okay. You can, either you or Indu can do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Your questionnaire is like a shrink asking questions. So unless you are like you don't reply instinctively, the first thing is going to be, okay, should I be even this brutally honest? Because since nobody is going to see those answers, I can safely say that, like an anonymous kind of a thing, like a troll, it's easier to be honest because you're not going to be judged. And it should be like a leadership questionnaire no, a shrink is giving leadership questionnaire to figure out where you are in your headspace and all. They're brilliant questions, Sailesh. Really brilliant.
Yeah, so I think, and that's where we need to be candid and honest, because this is not about telling this to anybody. This is for us. This is a self-reflection. And Lena, you've shared your 7 non-negotiables that you got from the exercise. Do they resonate for you? Do you think you have more clarity with this? Do you think this will help you and your team? Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lena. Thanks for sharing. And others, please, again, as I said, this is for you. You need to really look at it and don't leave it incomplete. Please complete it, even if it's going to take you a little more time. Please complete it. It will be useful. Now, Vinayji, coming back to your question that you asked before the exercise was, how do we explain this to the employee? Now, is Vinayji there? He asked a question. I'm not too sure if he's still around.
Is it Vinayak Bhau or is it Vinayak Kanade? Who was it?
Vinay Patak. Yeah, Vinay
Vinay
Patak ji is
Pathak.
there. He is still
Okay.
there. I can
All right.
see him.
Okay.
Okay. So my only answer to this is, you don't need to explain anything to them. It is like a parent, a mother teaching a child. Does she tell the child, or does she, one, live that behavior herself and do things herself, and then gently guide the child into forming those beliefs and those habits and behaviors? Instructions are not going to help. Yes, they are important. We need to communicate, we need to tell them, we need to probably, but more powerful than the explanation, or more powerful than just communication, which is verbal communication, is the non-verbal communication. When you start behaving in line and in conjunction with that particular list of non-tolerables, one, and second is when you stop tolerating behavior that does not align with those non-tolerables, or the culture and the value that you want to define, you will, over a period of time, because it's not going to happen overnight. This is not something that gets built overnight. It takes time. It will take you time, but you need to be committed to it. It's like, uh, you might probably, let's say, if you want to learn swimming or driving, Going through a session like this might give you the knowledge. And you know how to sit in the car and what to do, what clutch to press and what gear to put into. That is in terms of the knowledge. But you have to practice it consistently. When you practice it consistently is when it will become a habit for you and for your team. So it's about repeating over and over again, very consciously in the beginning, till the point of time that it becomes subconscious or unconscious behavior. Like whether you are driving, learning to drive, first few days you are very conscious about every action that you are taking in when you're sitting in the driver's seat. Over a period of time, it becomes second habit. Most of your driving is done subconsciously. You don't have to be conscious. You are probably enjoying some music or having a chat with someone who's with you in the car, and your subconscious is actually running the entire action. Okay. Chaitali, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for letting me conduct this session for your members. It's always a privilege. I love doing this. And as I said, anybody wants to reach out, please do reach out. Happy to be of any help and support. Over to you, Chaitali.
Thank you very much, Sailesh. It was like an absolute brilliant session, probably one of the best and interesting sessions that we have. I am now going to request Nirav, our honorary secretary for BCBA, to please give his closing comments. Nirav, over to you.
Thanks, Chaitali, Mr. Sailesh Kandak. Really amazing. What an engaging session. I don't know whether maybe the word of thanks, especially to you, would be up to the mark. But on behalf of Brihan Mumbai Custom Brokers Association, I extend my sincere gratitude to you, Mr. Sailesh Kantakji, for conducting this insightful, thought-provoking session on designing your non-negotiables as a leader. Sir, your practical perspectives, the real life examples, this has given us valuable clarity, especially when you spoke about setting boundaries, strengthening the leadership values. So all these, are, these are some decisions which every business faces, and these are challenging. And in this kind of an environment, these are going to help some of the very major landmark statements that you have made will really have long lasting impact on the minds of all the participants. Thanks, Chaitali, our chairperson for the training and skill development committee, who is always dynamic, energetic to spread the knowledge amongst the members, and your efforts are always encouraging. Thanks once again, Chaitali. This session has really helped everyone. We are
Thank you,
also
Nirav.
truly inspired by the leadership qualities of our president, Mr. Sanjeev Harale, who has guided us with the right path and groomed many of us individuals to become successful leaders for tomorrow. My sincere gratitude to the entire office bearers and managing committee, as well as the secretariat, for their active engagement in all the endeavors of BCBA, and also the support to all the members. We thank you all participants for your active involvement and engagement, which has made this webinar truly meaningful. I'm sure you'll have a lot to take back home, and you will be eagerly looking forward to the next one. So once again, Mr. Kantak, thank you for your time, for your wisdom, and and for enriching our leadership journey. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Thank you,
Thank
Nirav.
you,
It's my
everybody.
pleasure. Thank you so much, everybody. All the best. Have a great weekend. We have a long weekend coming up.
Thank you,
Yes.
everyone. And we look
Take
forward
care.
to seeing you for the next session. Thank you, Sailesh.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
mind-blowing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you,
lovely
Chaitali.
weekend, everyone. Thank you. And thank you,
Bye.
Nirav, for, as usual, the wonderful closing that you do. Thank you to everybody who stayed behind. And most importantly, thank you to everyone for participating and replying to the questions. We look forward to seeing you for the next session. And please do spread the word, because it's only by word of mouth that these training programs can spread. So we keep sending out flyers and emails. If you can circulate them in the group, and if you're really happy about it by way of comments, then please do tell your friends to join us the next time. Thank you. Bye-bye. See you all.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. See you all. Thank you.